Once upon a time, in a land made of candy floss clouds and chocolate rivers, there lived a dragon who didn't like fire. How did he sneeze? Flowers? The other dragons thought it was pretty gross. They would roll up their eyes and say, "Ooh, here we go again." Then he would sneeze. "Bless you." They would scream and cover their faces with their tail. But our little dragon felt useless. He wanted to do something amazing, something spectacular, something that would make the other dragons look at him and say, "Wow, Bert, you're the best dragon I know." But his only superpower was sneezing flowers, which smelled delicious but were pretty useless. Every morning when the sun rose, our dragon would take off from his cave and fly around the kingdom looking for someone who needed his help. One day he saw some kids playing by a river and he thought, "Perfect, these kids need a flower to complete their flower crowns." So he swooped down from the sky, took a deep breath, and started to sneeze. But the kids screamed and ran away when they saw his big green face with the horns and the wings coming out of his back. He sighed. It wasn't easy being a dragon with a unique talent, and he couldn't even use his talent because everyone was scared of him. As he flew back to his cave, he saw a group of birds sitting on a tree. "Hello," said our dragon. "Would anyone like a flower?" The birds looked at each other and then burst out laughing. They laughed so hard that some of them fell off the tree and into the river below. Our dragon looked confused. Was it funny that he wanted to help? He turned and flew away feeling sad. He sat on the floor of his cave surrounded by his flower pots. He had so many flowers, but nobody wanted them. Suddenly, his tummy rumbled. Maybe he could eat the flowers, he thought. As soon as he ate one, his tummy felt even more empty. Dragons aren't supposed to eat flowers, he realized. That's why he felt so bad. He missed doing something spectacular. Something that a real dragon would do, like breathing fire. "Bert, come out, whoever is there," shouted a voice. Bert froze. It was the king. What was the king doing in his cave? The king stepped inside and gasped, "Bert, is that really you?" "I'm so sorry, I didn't know you lived here. I just wanted to ask if you could help us. There's a big forest fire near the village, and I need your help." Forest fire, thought Bert. That's perfect. Finally, I can do something amazing. But when Bert opened his mouth to speak, all that came out was a small flower bud. The king looked at him and said, "You're not actually going to breathe flowers, are you?" Bert shook his head and started to cry. "I want to help, but I can't breathe fire. I'm a useless dragon." The king put his hand on Bert's shoulder. "Don't be silly, Bert. You may not breathe fire, but you have other talents that other dragons don't have. Don't give up." Then the king flew away. Bert looked at all of his flowers and thought, "What am I gonna do?" He looked out of his cave and saw the smoke rising into the sky. He had to do something. He took a deep breath and started to think. "Maybe I can distract the fire with my flowers," he thought. He filled his mouth with as many flowers as he could, then took off towards the fire. As he approached the fire, he could hear the villagers screaming and shouting. He looked down and saw people running around, trying to put out the flames with buckets of water. Bert landed in front of the fire and roared as loud as he could. The people stopped and stared at him in amazement. This dragon was different. He didn't breathe fire, but he breathed flowers. It was incredible. Bert closed his eyes and let out all the flowers in his mouth. They floated through the air like colorful butterflies and landed on top of the fire. The flames stopped and the flowers started to glow. Bert opened his eyes and couldn't believe what he was seeing. All of the flowers had magical powers. They glowed brighter than the sun and were beautiful. Bert flew closer and saw that the fire was completely out. All of the people came out of their houses and started to clap. "You did it, Bert. You saved the village," shouted a little girl. Bert blushed and looked at his paws. He couldn't believe that he was a hero. He had done something spectacular after all. Suddenly, a big, burly dragon landed next to Bert. It was Gary, the biggest and meanest dragon in the kingdom. What's all this then? Someone's blowing flowers, Gary said. He was angry. Bert had stolen his spotlight. Gary took a deep breath and started to blow fire. Everyone screamed and ran away. Now watch this, little flower boy, Gary shouted. He blew a big ball of fire at Bert, who closed his eyes and waited for the end. But when he opened his eyes, he was still standing. The fire hadn't hurt him at all. Bert looked at Gary and asked, "Why are you blowing fire? It's not nice." Gary looked at the ground. He was ashamed. He didn't want to blow fire anymore. He wanted to blow flowers. Bert smiled. He knew exactly what to do. Bert took Gary to his cave and showed him all of his flowers. "These are so pretty," said Gary. "Can I have one?" "Of course," said Bert. He gave Gary a big red flower. Gary took a deep breath and started to blow. At first, nothing happened. Then a tiny flower bud came out of his mouth. Bert smiled. "It's okay, Gary, you can do it." Gary took another deep breath, and this time 2 buds came out, then 3, then 4. Before long, Gary was blowing flowers as fast as he could. "Look at me," Gary shouted. "I'm blowing flowers?" He was so happy. From that day on, Bert and Gary became best friends. They flew around the kingdom together, bringing flowers to everyone they met. Sometimes they would sit on a cloud and watch the humans play. "You know," Bert said to Gary one day, "being different isn't bad. It means that you have special talents. You just have to find them." Gary nodded. He had been so worried that he couldn't breathe fire anymore, but now he realized that it was a good thing. He could breathe flowers. One day, while they were flying, they saw a group of kids picking flowers in a field. "Do you think they want any more flowers?" Bert asked. Gary smiled. "I'm sure they do. Let's go say hi." They landed next to the kids and asked if they wanted any flowers. "Oh, wow, where did they come from?" asked one of the kids. "They must be magic." The children laughed and started to pick the flowers. "Thank you," they shouted to the dragons. "You're welcome," Gary replied. "We love giving out flowers." Then they flew away. As they soared through the sky, Bert and Gary felt happy. They were different, but that didn't make them broken. In fact, it made them the best of friends. Thank you for coming along with us on this adventure. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Good night, little one.